Charity Washington was a much sought-after babysitter in her small town of Winston, Georgia. She had just turned 16 and could drive to her babysitting jobs now, and she was relieved about that because some of the dads made her a bit uncomfortable when they'd drive her home after having had a couple of glasses of wine. It seemed to either embolden them to try and act like sexy dad, or make them just dumb enough to think that she'd find anything attractive about a married man whose 3 kids she'd just endured for 5 hours. Tonight, Charity was going to be sitting for the Cash family. Mother, Julia, was an attorney. Father, Rob, had been a high school teacher, but he'd recently quit, or was fired, or something. There had been some gossip about what had happened. He said that he wanted to start a career in a new line of work, something, and burnout. But the talk of the town was that he'd been given the option of either resigning or being fired. Charity really could not have cared less. She didn't have any interest in adult gossip, and she found it ridiculous that adults were just older versions of teenagers. The gossip, the snarky comments, the judgy BS just never seemed to be a stage that people grew out of, especially the moms. She'd hear Mrs. Taylor talking about Mrs. Kenmore's bad plastic surgery, or how Mrs. Brown seemed to have put on some weight. Could she be pregnant or just getting happy and fat? It was always the same with the moms. Charity decided that she would never be like that she wouldn't even be friends with women like that, but then again, if she wasn't going to be friends with women like that, then she doubted she'd ever have any friends, as it seemed like it was an innate alpha female of the jungle thing that just seemed to bring out the worst in them. Charity's mother had passed away when she'd been just a baby, but she often wondered if her mom would have been the kind of woman to engage in the idle cattiness that seemed to come so naturally. She chose to believe that her mother, who'd been a nurse, would have risen above the fray, but who really knows? Charity began to pack what she called her sitting bag, which included some puzzles, a deck of cards, fruit roll-ups, a protein bar, and an apple for her, in case the parents had an empty fridge. She hated it when that happened. One book with grim fairy tales, the real ones, the creepy kind, and another with much lighter subjects like princesses, dragons, fairies, and unicorns. She was prepared for all age groups and tastes. She even had a cookbook that she would take to Nancy Kidman's house, because the child loved to be read recipes to get her to sleep. She was only 11, but already preparing meals for her entire family, and she was quite good, too. She also grabbed a yo-yo, some cheese, crackers, her iPhone, a flashlight for under-the-cover parties, and her history book. She had some homework to do this evening. She looked around for her keys. She found them at the edge of the kitchen counter. She kissed her father goodbye, and he told her the mandatory drive safe as she bounded out of the house. She was driving her dad's pickup truck now, but she was saving her money to buy herself a light blue Volkswagen Bug. She'd had her eye on it for a while now. It was starting to drizzle a bit. There was a storm coming tonight. The Cash kids were older, 12 and 14 years old. She knew they'd like the scary stormy weather and a creepy, grim story. She'd called Julia earlier in the day to ask her to make sure they had candles and matches in case the lights went out. She figured that even if they didn't go out, she could still light the candles, turn off the lights, and have a scary story time. Maybe she'd even make one up. When she arrived at the Cash house, she was greeted by Symphony Cash. She was 12, and full of vinegar and spice, as her mom said. She loved pranks and walking the fine line between impish behavior and obnoxiousness. Charity really liked her. Symphony was followed by Hayden Cash, her 14-year-old brother. "Hey, Cher, what's going on? It's gonna storm tonight. I hope you brought the appropriate gear with you. Mom made dinner. There's some for you in the kitchen." Phew, thought Charity, glad that she'd be fed. Julia came down the stairs, walking carefully as she was in heels and a champagne-colored knee-length dress that caught the light and shimmered as she was putting in her left diamond earring. Her hair was curled but mostly up, a strawberry blonde color that Charity assumed she'd paid a fortune for. "Hey, sweetie, how you doing tonight?" she asked Charity. "I'm good, Mrs. Cash. Thanks for dinner." "Oh, honey, it's part of the job. Can't let you starve. Need your energy for these 2 feral kittens," she laughed. as she waved towards her kids. Plus, the fridge is stocked. Yes, thought Charity. We're off to a good start. Julie was getting some items put into her bag when Rob came down the stairs. Hi, Charity, he said to her. Hello, Mr. Cash, she replied. Do you know what to do if the electricity goes out? The switches are in the garage. These old houses are unpredictable, you know. He'd showed her before where the fuse box was. It was in the garage, which seemed more like a shed, and it was on the back wall. Yes, sir. I remember. Okay then. Call us if there's any problems. Then Julia broke in. Hey, Rob, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Meet you there, then? Yeah, I'll be right behind you. Okay. Night, kiddos. Leave Charity in one piece, and, my dear, try not to scare them too bad. She winked at Charity and walked out, leaving the trail of her perfume behind. Dad, began Hayden, why aren't you going with Mom? I have a quick stop to make first. Gotta go, guys. Give Daddy a hug. The kids went over to their dad and they hugged him. Then he looked at Charity. What about you? No hug from you? Yeah, he was creepy, Dad. And Charity had smelled the whiskey on his breath when he'd come down the stairs. He was always making passes at her, and in the car he was grabby. She was really glad that she'd driven her own car. Come on. Just one. He reached out for her to try and pull her in, and she gave him a little side hug and began to walk away. The kids scampered off, and as Charity was turning to follow them, he murmured, Okay, your loss. She didn't even turn back around or acknowledge that she'd heard him. When she heard the kitchen door shut, she went back in and locked it. Hey, guys, she hollered to the kids. Let's make sure the doors are locked, okay? Symphony went to the one in the back of the house, and Hayden locked the front door. He called out, All done, Captain! And they were off to their rooms for a little while. Charity put her plate of food in the microwave and took her phone out to check her Instagram. About an hour later, the storm rolled in. They could smell the mix of dust and rain in the air. The trees were blowing sideways, leaves being ripped away from the limbs. Charity heard a large garbage can banging past the cash house, breaking up the sound of the howling wind, with the sound of the large tin trash can bouncing off the curbs and trees. Just as Charity called for the kids to come down to start creepy story time, her phone dinged. She received a text message. She went to get the candles from the kitchen and picked up her phone to take a quick look. All that was written was, I can see you. She knew that the kids must be starting in on the night of scaring each other, and she didn't really think much of it. She put the candles around the living room. The lights were flickering on and off, and she knew that it wouldn't be long before the power went out. Hey, guys, she called to the kids. Get any snacks and drinks you want now while we still have electricity. I'll make some popcorn, said Symphony. I'll get some chips, some apples, and Charity, can you grab some water bottles? Charity had her head in the fridge when again there was a ding on her phone. I can see you. This time she knew that the kids were probably wanting a reaction from her. So as she walked into the living room, she saw them snuggled up, Symphony on the couch with a blanket and Hayden on the overstuffed chair, holding his phone and looking at his social media. Charity put the water bottles down on the table and said, Okay, you're scaring me. Ooh. Both looked genuinely confused. Huh? Asked Hayden. Charity replied, you sent me that text. What text? Asked Hayden. Charity looked at Symphony. You sent it? Just as Symphony was answering, I didn't send you a text. What number is it from? The lights went out. Shoot, said Charity. I have to get the rest of these candles lit. The kids were excitedly helping her. This is so good, said Hayden. It's perfect for scary stories. I forgot to get the popcorn out of the microwave, said Symphony. Can I take one of the candles? No, replied Charity. Here. And she reached into her bag to get the flashlight. Take this. There's less chance of you burning the house down. By then, Charity had forgotten about the text messages. The rain was coming down in buckets. The street lights were out also. It was so stereotypically horror movie outside. What about the fuse box? asked Symphony. I'm not going out there in this storm. It looks like the branches are starting to break. Plus, the rest of the street's lights are off too. Let's just get our spoopy on. Charity started flipping through the pages of the book, finally landing on just the right grim tale. The Girl with No Hands, she told the kids, and her phone dinged. She picked it up, and it read, I will kill you before the night is over. She threw the phone down. Okay, that's it, she snapped at the teens. Who has our phone? Let me see your hands. Now. Hayden pointed to his, still on the chair, as he sat on the floor now, closer to the snacks on the table, and Symphony pointed to hers as it was sitting on the table. What the hell, Charity? Hayden snapped back. I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. Someone's trying to mess with me, I guess. I've been getting these texts. And she trailed off. Whose number is it? Asked Symphony. Yeah, let me see, said Hayden, as he took the phone and looked at it. Ah, blocked number. That's easy to do, chimed in Symphony. Hayden read the text out loud. Listen, they haven't used your name, so maybe this is meant for someone else. Probably just kids. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right, said Charity. Okay, guys, let's see. Here we go. And she began the story. A miller fell slowly but surely into poverty until finally he had nothing more than his mill and a large apple tree which stood behind it. One day he had gone into the forest to gather wood, where he was approached by an old man. Then suddenly there was a sharp banging noise that broke through the sound of the thunder. Bang! 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 It came quicker and quicker. What the? Started Charity when the phone went ding. Both Hayden and Symphony were now on their feet. What is it, Hayden? Asked Symphony. Shit, I'm not sure, he replied. Charity was still looking at her phone. She slowly looked up at the kids. What already? Asked Symphony. The text message read, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tonight's the last that you'll be alive. The banging persisted, and it was soon all that the trio could hear. Even the howl of the wind was being dampened by the bang, bang, banging. Hold on, said Charity. It sounded like it was coming from the side of the house. Probably a trash can again. She went to the kitchen holding her flashlight and was startled by her own reflection in the window. Oh, Jesus, she let out. She put her face up against the kitchen window and cupped her eyes with both hands. Here, hold the flashlight, she said as she handed it off to one of the kids. She could barely make out through the dense rain that the side door to the garage was open. Oh, it's just the garage door. Well, we can't let it keep banging, insisted Hayden. Our neighbors are going to kill us. Charity replied, Better to have your neighbors mad than have me get struck by lightning. Let's get back to the story. They returned to the living room, and Charity started again. A miller, slowly but surely. Bang! 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 We can't even hear you, complained Symphony. Ding! Charity's phone went off. Don't look at it, Charity. It's not even funny. Let them bother someone else tonight, said Hayden. Charity knew he was right, but she couldn't help it. I saw you in the window. Okay, that's it. That's not cool. I'm calling your mom, said Charity. Symphony took the phone and read the message aloud. That's creepy. Did you see anyone? She asked. No, I mean, I could barely make out the shape of the door. Bang! 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 Hey, look! The lights across the street are back on, pointed out Hayden. Yeah, great. Why won't your mom answer her phone? Charity was getting frustrated. Oh, I think she turns it off while she's at dinner, replied Symphony. Great. That's just great. Bang! 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 The wind howling up against the house, straining the very branches of the large elm tree. Ding! Nope. No way, snapped Charity. Not anymore. Let's try and read this stupid story. Symphony snatched the phone up and began to read the message. You dirty, filthy girl. What does that mean? Asked Symphony. Sounds like someone's mad, chimed in Hayden. Yeah, I guess so. This is so weird. I think you guys may be right. This doesn't sound like it's meant for me. She began to type back. Wrong number. ... Weirdo. There. Now where were we? Hayden's phone rang, and it was Julie. She asked to talk to Charity. Hey, Charity, listen. Pastor Baker lives next door. He just called Rob complaining about the garage door banging. Do you think you can go run out there real quick and close it? Do you guys have lights? I guess so. And we haven't had lights, but it looks like the neighbors are coming back on. Okay, well, while you're out there, can you check the fuse box then? Sure, replied Charity, not thrilled about this at all. She'd worn her new Converse, and now she was going to get them all muddy. She'd had them for all of 2 whole days. Okay, hon, thanks a bunch, chirped Julie, and she hung up. Charity handed the phone to Hayden. Guess I'm going to go outside and close that door and check your fuses. Have fun with that, yelled Hayden, as he jumped every other stair on his way up. I'll wait here for you, Charity, said Symphony. Thanks, kiddo. Wish me luck. Charity put on her coat. She grabbed the flashlight and opened the kitchen door. The wind was so strong that it resisted her at first. She covered her face with her hood, cursed that she could already feel the water coming into her shoes. And she went to the small garage shed thing. She absent-mindedly tried to flick the light switch before remembering that they were out of power. She scanned the room for the fuse box as she walked further in. Then she saw something out of the corner of her eye, stepping out of the shadows. It was Julie Cash, holding a large knife. Before Charity could say anything or run or scream, the knife went through her throat like butter. And as she began to fall, as the world slowed down, she heard, "Flirt with my husband? Try and steal my husband? I don't think so."